Hey, what's going on, everyone? Joe Menza here, and I'm going to show you a nice, lovely mountain scene painted in watercolor using a Strathmore 400 9x12. And I'm going to be using the Daniel Smith pan set in the metal tin. And I've added water as well as raw sienna light, just to create a little bit of a background. I'm using the small Ron Ranson goat hair Hake or Hake brush, however you like to pronounce it. And next I'm coming in with some French ultramarine blue. French ultramarine blue is a little bit warmer than regular ultramarine blue. If you use a little ultramarine blue in your painting, you can always add a little bit of light red to it. But in this particular set, they include French ultramarine blue. And I just created a nice light background with this. Now, this paper, someone asked me if it is cotton paper, and it is not 100% cotton. This paper is higher grade than the regular Strathmore. It's 400 series, which is a better quality, but it is not something you would use professionally like 100% cotton, and it is less expensive. Great for doing demos, great for having fun. I'm going to darken this up. I've added a little more blue. Had a little blue and a little bit of red, making a slightly warmer mountain. And I want to make this mountain a little bit pointier. Now, I'm going to use the Thirsty brush by wiping it periodically on a towel and lifting away some of the paint. Rather than using white, I'm lifting off what would be the snow side of the mountain. Now you can pull it like I just did, or you can lift and press into it. But you will have to go back to the towel and wipe off what you've just pulled off if you want to get that clean look. So you can see this is already happening already. It's very subtle, and you have a snowy mountain peak look. The Strathmore 400 is very good for lifting. And just kind of blending that in the bottom a little bit. Watercolor is great for relaxation if you don't take it too seriously and you try to go with shapes. Don't try to copy what other artists do exactly. Make it your own. Allow yourself the freedom to vary from what you see, because even I couldn't copy one of my paintings exactly from one to the next. It's not going to be exact. This is not an exact science here. We're doing a fast and loose technique, and we're allowing ourselves to be amazed by our own results. Now, I've taken some green here. On this one, I got some varying greens on this palette. Daniel Smith makes some very nice greens. Perylene greens, undersea green. They have a phthalo green, and all of them can really be used in these paintings that are very, very, very nice greens. Using the side of the brush just to create a tree line. Tree lines are great for framing around a mountain, so you just don't have the base coming down, nothing there. I'll take that same green as well as on the brush, and I'll frame around where I've used that. I've used like a quinacridone yellow there. You can use a raw sienna, or you can use a cad yellow hue. Something in the yellow family. You can use a lemon yellow. You can warm up lemon yellow by adding a little bit of red to it. I'm taking some burnt umber here, and I'm just going to make a little bit of tree. I don't usually do, Ron Ranson really like to make like brown trees. I guess that would be like a autumn type thing. But it did help, I think, balance the colors in the picture, and I believe that's probably why he would do sort of like a brown tree. You can do a green tree, but you have too much green then. And these balance of colors, he knew when you would do a painting and you'd have sort of like the yellow and the green and the blue and the burnt umber, all of those things, they had a certain harmony, and that's why he narrowed it down to that raw sienna, ultramarine blue, light red, burnt umber. Those were the really basic colors, and then he used a light red, alizarin crimson, and a Payne's gray. And I think he knew there was a color harmony among those colors that he really liked. And a simplified palette. Now again, I'm just creating, I've got this undercolor here with the yellow, and I can go over the top with that. I can use like a brown, I can use like a green, and I can sort of capitalize on that and have sort of a two-tone color going on there. Using the brush by pressing it into the paper and allowing for the bristles to create different without it being totally flat. You can have a flat edge on these brushes, or you can have it in such a way that each tip leaves a little different height, and you can create grass. You have to experiment. Just take an old piece of paper, use the corner of the brush, use the side of the brush. A lot of times when people paint, I think they focus on using the front edge of the brush, and you're painting up and down, almost like you would paint a house. Like if you were painting your wall in your house and you were using a brush, you'd go up and down, nice strokes. But with this brush, you're gonna get a little bend over time out of your brush, and you're gonna be using that side of the brush to like go across and create sweeps, and you're gonna use the corner ear of the brush to create little points. You can do so many little things with this brush. You can see here that's all I've really used in this painting, aside from a plastic card to scrape the rocks as you've seen me do. If you've not seen that before, if this is your first video and you're new to watercolor, when the paint is still wet, you can take a plastic card, credit card, one of these loyalty cards. I really like when they give you those. I use those, are nice and small, and you can use that by putting a firm pressure, but not too much pressure. You can scrape away a little bit of the paint, and it creates little rock formations. You can create sticks, twigs, tree branches. It's a really nice little trick. So I'm also using the sword liner brush, and I can make twigs and sticks and things with that. Again, I want to keep this simple. And you might be wondering why I'm not going all the way to the edge of the paper, which I did used to do quite a bit. But I do like using these in a pad form. I like using the spiral pads. And when I use these spiral pads, if you go all the way to the edge, you end up messing up the sheets underneath. So it's better to not go all the way to the edge. And plus I use like a 9x12 type mat, and I know I'm going outside of the edge of that. Now the blue for the water, I also used like a French ultramarine blue. And now I'm looking at it with the mat on to see how that looks. And it's not too bad. I'm going to take a little bit of the Hake brush, Thirsty Hake again, and just take away. Don't really need this. I probably should have just left it alone, but just to create a little bit of a water line. In any event, if I'm doing a painting, a lot of times I'm doing a painting to show you what can be done. And I know a lot of times people leave a comment and they'll say, oh, you should have did this or should have left it or whatever. When you paint it, remember that. Remember that and say, I'm going to stop here. I remember when that guy on YouTube, I don't remember his name, but he didn't know what he was doing. you know, that kind of thing. So have fun with it. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.